Riots, patriotism and immigration, England's new reality. Well, welcome to Mark and Pete. Here's a thought.
The heart of a community is where people meet, with the pulse of friendship as they greet, until an attack of evil hits the street, and once again life skips a beat. Well, mass demonstrations have occurred throughout England. There has been unrest from as far as wide as Hull, Liverpool, Bristol, Manchester, Stoke-on-Trent, Blackpool and even Belfast. Missiles have been thrown, shops have been looted, and the police have been attacked in many places. Now, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has pledged to give the police force more government support to take action on what he calls extremism. Well, the fact of the matter is that these tensions have risen partly because of the unrest in the communities, and especially after the ones where the killing of 3 young girls at a Taylor Swift-themed dance party in Southport, Merseyside, has really prompted many people to question what is going on in our communities today. Clergyman Pete, I ask you, first of all, what do you think about the situation that's going on today? And more importantly, what is the solution?
Well, I think what we have is that there's 2 levels of this. There is a problem in a breakdown in society. Certain behaviours which we were thought to be unthinkable are now very common. You mentioned a particular knife attack, and it's terrible. It's shocking.
Yes.
And yet it's becoming more and more common. We hear about these incidents every day. If you broaden your scope, of news, not just in England, but in England, they're very common. And these incidents tend to be associated with, these days, with people who are Muslim, but it's not exclusively a Muslim thing. It's simply that it's a clash between different cultures. Take as I said, I'll take for example that murder of the 3 girls at the Taylor Swift themed dance party. I mean, why would you attack that? Because it's a sign of it's an event of Western decadence with young girls dancing around. They need, and so the attack there, it is really due to a class of cultures, whatever the specific reason or specific background of the individual concerned. It doesn't seem to have been a personal attack. Unlikely, of course, that such a young girl would have a personal enemy in him. It seems to be part of this wider problem that you're pointing out, that there's a breakdown in society because people from different cultures are coming in and not assimilating, and so immediately what you don't have the basic assumptions on how to behave there. I'm not saying that in any country it's assumed that you can go and kill little girls. It isn't, but it is assumed that, for example, in some countries the girls won't be dancing around in their leotards and that sort of thing, and so you've got unrest, basic assumptions not met, and this is causing. It's been a rising, bubbling, seething anger of English people about what they see happening, and then the anger of the immigrant groups who have come into the area at the English people because they're angry with them.
Yes.
So it's all a lack of immigration. It's failed immigration policy that has produced this.
Well, it's a failed integration policy as well, isn't it? Because basically it's a clash of values. And when it gets deep, let's really sort of dig deeper on this as well, because, as a clergyman, you'll appreciate that, when religion is a factor, not the only factor, there are others, but the fact is that you're building on centuries of belief. And when those beliefs clash or values clash, it's not always going to end well. And I think this is where, it would work in any community, or when we're talking about England, but if you took any society where there is a culture, there is a form of religion, there's a form of practice, if something comes in which counters it or appears to challenge it or threaten it or potentially just simply oppose it because of its beliefs, naturally people will react. And I think that what's strange, isn't it? I mean, they always blame the Blair government for opening the doors to this issue. Now, I don't would necessarily believe it started there. I think this is an ongoing issue that's just got, is exacerbated in recent times. Now, some of it, of course, isn't just because of the fact that the doors have been left open. It's the fact that there is unrest. We've seen war zones, and that's dispersed people. We've seen the economy and famine hit other regions across the decades, and that's another reason. So there are many different reasons. It's not one thing. If it's always one thing, you've got a chance to address it. But the fact of the matter is that people are coming from different sources. We know that there definitely a lot of them are coming from France. I suppose we have to then sort of turn our attention to what does Keir Starmer do and his cabinet to now address it? Because what the Conservatives were looking to do was basically 5 people out to Rwanda, and that was one way of addressing it. That's gone. That policy's over. So what on earth does the Labour Party do now to start to address the issues that are there within Britain, but also, more importantly, to prevent it getting worse?
I mean, I think the first thing to do is not to vilify groups of patriotic English people gathering together.
No.
They've been blamed for the actions of a few, but also the issue is that they're angry. It's a bubbling up anger. As I say, it's not just one incident. And
Correct.
you were saying that we used one example, but it's becoming more and more common, and most of them are Muslim, but not exclusively. It's due to a clash of cultures. It's, as you say,
Yes.
It's an integration issue, and so it needs to be acknowledged that these people have a point. Don't vilify them as if their attacks are their attacks. For example, they attacked a mosque. That's not a good idea. It's not a good thing to do.
No.
But at least acknowledge why they did it, right? And there needs to be greater honesty in reporting on it, including from the police. For example, let's go back to our example of this attack. The police immediately announced that it was not a terrorist attack, but in the same breath said that they didn't know the motive.
Correct.
What? Well, if you don't know the motive, how do you know it's not a terrorist attack?
Exactly.
You don't know that, so that means you're lying. It was you didn't know it wasn't a terrorist attack, and so unless you actually did know the motive, and that was a lie. Either way, you're lying, and so that was the cause of much unrest, because they just assume it must be an Islamic terrorist attack, and the signs are now that particular incident wasn't at all. So that's the first thing: greater honesty and transparency, but then firmer policing. There needs to be firmer policing, and I would say initially you need to have a zero tolerance policy. I mean, you can't have people walking around with knives, and you need to allow spot checks. This was highlighted by Nigel Farage during the recent election campaign, when he called in debates for there to be spot checks where you just go, you stop and search. And you need to give the police the rights to do that. And at the moment, you can do it with a reasonable suspicion. I think you should be able, to be stopped. The suspicions, you don't need a specific suspicion, is what I'm saying. You could bring in a different law where they're allowed to do random checks. And then there's that. But then control of immigration is the other thing. Immigration needs to be at such a level that people can be integrated. Integration, well, that can involve the churches and other cultural groups, but it takes time. So there needs to be, and this is something that the Conservative Party didn't want to do, and I can't see the Labour Party doing it, but there needs to be a hold on all immigration, maybe for 5 years.
Yes.
And we need to leave, in order to do that, and to return any illegal immigrants forthwith, we need to leave the ECHR. It is, of course, ironic that this attacker of the who killed the 3 young girls that we mentioned came from Rwanda, and that's where they were thinking of sending people. That's just ironic. But I think those that's my prescription. But as you can see, it's difficult, unpopular, and will take time.
Well, that's true. I mean, here's to add to that. I think that what needs to happen is a combination. It's not just one thing. I agree with you. Spot checks, that's a tactical thing. Absolutely. I think that needs to be enforced. I think if you don't have that type of policy, police have no way of capturing these incidents at a given moment. But here's the bigger picture, which is about the policy. I agree with you that what needs to happen is at the moment there's a problem. It's evident now. You can see it on the streets. It's very clear. There's riots, there's violence, people are losing their lives or they're being injured. And whether that be the police or whether it be members of society. So clearly, education, collaboration, integration needs to be addressed. So that's where we are today. I also think that what needs to happen is there needs to be stronger law. At the moment, it's too easy for people to maybe find or given a bit of community service. It's not enough. It's got to be much more severe. So there's the punishment side, put stronger law in. And the other one is empowering the police force. So clearly they're under-resourced. What we saw in recent times in Leeds and Sunderland and many other places, the police were overwhelmed. They just could not cope. In a battleground on the streets, they lost the streets.
Yes.
And that cannot happen. Now, you could argue, should the army be brought in? Should there be more police force? Well, either way, a task force, an enhanced police force, whatever it is, there has to be a better way of tackling these things. And I come back to, you're right, in terms of perhaps and I know that, again, not the Rwanda scheme from the Conservative government, but there has to be some methodology of being able to, after people are screened, so get through the backlog, the massive backlog of those who should not be here. So that's the illegal immigrants. Those should not be in this country, should be sent back. And that measure has to happen because at the moment, the avalanche of incidents and violence and issues is so evident now that this country is failing to be able to cope. So if we don't shut the borders down, it's going to get worse to the point where you would have lost all sense of hope. So I think that what Keir Starmer has is a good opportunity here, along with his cabinet. He's at the beginning of his tenure. This is where he could bring back some ability to say it's not about who you are and where you come from. It's about whether you can integrate, whether you can hold the values of what this country is about. If you don't hold those values, we accept that, but then you have to accept that maybe it'd be better that if you lived in other countries that hold your values. The point being is, at the moment, what we're seeing is unrest because of those conflicts that are happening. And when you start to find that the conflicts rise, it's very, very difficult to then get people to integrate again because they'll know who they are. You know, there are communities in Leicester and Leeds and Liverpool and Birmingham and many others that have now started to build up years worth of unrest. That's really hard to bring harmony back to those communities. So this is the time, isn't it? And I was going to ask you one more question, which is this is more of a, dare I say, a religious thing, but it is a community thing. What's your thoughts in the way that religions can come together? What can the Church of England do in the reach out to imams and similarly the other way around, and many other religions? So we're picking those two, but let's be honest, there are others as well, and they're in the mix. What do you think that religious leaders need to do to try and bring more harmony to the community?
Well, the thing is, I think that you need to have dialogue. You need to be able to talk to your neighbors in the community. I mean, that's just a prerequisite. You need to be able to talk to people. But when it comes to these different communities, they're particularly if they're a big enough sort of community within a city or something like that, or maybe they've burgeoned, so they've taken over a whole town, as is some cases in the northeast of England. What you've got there is a closed community. And I don't think that the answer then is for religions to come together. It's for pressure to be put on the Muslim community in particular to not just simply stand up for their own and to cover up the crimes that are committed. And the only way to do it, really, though, is that this is the big problem. It's a big issue. It'd be nice to be able to say, yes, well, Christianity and Islam has a lot in common, which it does. So therefore, we could come together. No, because there are certain fundamental differences, which mean that within Islam, the actual teachings of Islam, the violence is condoned. And therefore, the only way is a sort of an overarching change in culture to bring the country, to bring England back to being a Christian country. There's no other way. Yeah. I mean, you could argue, well, it could be another religion. Islam has such evil at the heart of it that it can't be Islam. You see, other religions in this country we don't have the issue with. Even the much criticized Jews at the moment because of the actions of Israel. You're not afraid of gangs of Jews coming around and forcing you to wear certain clothing. No, that's not happening. You're not afraid of gangs of Hindus coming around and forcing you to bow down to the goddess Shiva or something like that. It's not happening. But in certain areas of Britain, you do have gangs of Muslims coming around and enforcing their law. So I don't see, sadly, I'd like to be able to say there is a solution. We can just be friendly to each other. We can't. There's a battle on, an ideological battle. And one side is winning because the other side hasn't even drawn arms yet. I mean, of course, I'm doing ideological battle. I'm not endorsing any violence, but I suppose the first step, if you were saying, well, the first step is recognizing that at the heart of Islam there is a problem, and acknowledging that from Muslim leaders would be a start.
Well, what about those people who are in the communities who have seen violence on their doorstep? It would be interesting to hear their viewpoints.
Yes, it'd be interesting to hear that. And you can get in touch with us. Just go to markandpete.com, leave a message on, and you'll get to us on this and any episode you can comment on. But from Mark and myself, it's bye for now, and catch you next time.